Hi, my name is Cal McLean. I'm doing a Management 106 presentation on the ethics and concerns of genetic modification. What is genetic modification? Genetic modification is the insertion, deletion, mutation, translocation, transfer of genetic material through processes such as genetic engineering, selective breeding, artificial insemination, and more. It is of growing importance in our current society as we move forward and increasing relevance. Hence why I chose it as my topic. I'm very interested in this topic, not particularly just the ethics and concerns, but also the processes carried out in order for this processes to work. What is the potential of genetic engineering? Genetic engineering inserts, deletes, and translocates genes from one species to another and has a variety of other uses. In the NBC production film Animal Farm, there was a particular case of this done. They transferred a bioluminescence gene from a jellyfish into a rabbit, making it a glowing rabbit. This is one of the uses and ways that it could benefit us in the future, being able to transfer genes from one species to another in order to suit the purpose that we need it for. The manipulation of human cells. Also in this Animal Farm documentary, they took up the task of producing a brand new bladder for a patient. This was a test and it worked very well. Using the genes, they programmed the stem cells to produce entirely new organs. It took a rather long time to grow, but it's still in the test phase. Noses were also created, brand new noses for burn victims, and that was a huge success as well. Also using skin cells and genes to program those skin cells to create these new noses. It's very interesting. Mutations. Myostatin is a protein which doubles the length of your muscles, essentially. It's mutated into the Belgian blue through selective breeding. This makes the Belgian blue a very efficient protein source and production source for farmers. They only elongate the muscles, they need to produce brand new muscle strands. Cloning. Dolly's sheep was cloned here in New Zealand not that long ago. They took cells from a 7-year-old ewe and implemented them into an embryo, essentially. This created a brand new duplicate, or clone, if you will, of that ewe. However, Dolly didn't live very long because she was cloned from an aged ewe. There are still some kinks that need to be worked out, but cloning is very real and a very real possibility for the future. What are the concerns surrounding genetic modification and engineering? How safe is the genetically modified food that we eat? Right now, there are many studies being carried out on the food and very strict regulatory processes. They need to be sure that nothing you have done to the food can be passed on to humans or other animals and cause various issues. One of them being the potential mutation in humans. As of now, it's fine, but as we start getting to the more translocation of genes, that will become a greater issue. Such as the emergence of a dystopian society, such as that seen in Gattaca. Animal health and animal rights. They are a big concern globally right now, whether it's to do with genetics or not. Animals are being forced to procreate in very tight spaces, sometimes on minimal food, and that has some activists concerned. However, most of the professional genetic engineering and genetic modification studies are held under very strict circumstances. The animals have to be under the Animal Rights Act, perfectly cared for, so there's no issue there. But one of the biggest concerns for human society right now is the bacterial and viral mutations that may occur through genetic modification and engineering. If this were to happen, it would essentially create super bugs and super diseases which we cannot stop. which is the big issue right now and going forward. Limitations and regulations. There are very strict regulations on who can perform genetic engineering, and you need a very good purpose in order to get a permit to carry out genetic engineering and manipulation modification. You need airtight facilities, multiple layers of security, separate clothes for inside and outside of the facility, and you need to be washed down to make sure you're free of all genetic material. For example, if a contaminated corn seed got out into the crops of North America, it would be devastating for the industry. Human genetic modification. There's essentially a blanket ban on this globally. It's very frowned upon, and only few countries have the rights or ability to do this. China, the government has endorsed it and is promoting studies of it, which is quite interesting and good. The US, with special permits and permissions, are allowed to. Most of this is focused around the medical industry and its uses for that, such as cancer alleviation. But otherwise, it's a blanket ban because of how dangerous it could potentially be to the human populace. Most of the data and information gathered in this presentation was gained from the Faraday Institute and various other sites here. The Animal Farm documentary by the NBC is a very good film. I strongly recommend watching it if you're interested in genetic modification or genetic engineering. There's some very good points and some very interesting facts along with it. It's a 3 or 4 part documentary, which is very insightful. Thank you for your time.